Okay, we are live. It's the Stardock stream. I'm Adam Beesener. How you doing?
Hello.
That's Paul. He is the lead designer of Galactic Civilizations III, which we are playing today. We are playing the opt-in beta patch that we just put out yesterday on Thursday for people to check out. That is primarily bug fixes, including one big bug that some of our beta players have been getting bitten by. Which is the integrated, and if you have a laptop that has both integrated and discrete graphics on it, we were having some problems, which is not by any means limited to Galactic Civilizations 3. However, we did find a fix for it, which is awesome, and so that fix is in this patch, which you can opt into now on Steam. And we encourage you to do so because we wanted to get it out to a smaller number of people for a little bit of testing for a week before.
It's kind of a temporary fix. We actually have a better plan, but mostly we want to just make it sure it plays for people. So if you do the patch and it does work, but you're getting really slow performance, it's because if all else fails, we force the laptop, usually these are all laptops, to use the integrated graphics. And this is all a problem with direct write, blah, blah, blah. So in the long term, we have to essentially write a whole new font system, which we are doing. Jesse is hard at work. Once that's in, this problem should go away for everybody. But this is a temporary fix. But if you want to play the game, you definitely should get the patch. Plus, there's just all kinds of other balancing stuff. All the approval stuff is fixed. A bunch of things that the shipyard idle is in.
Oh yeah, because shipyards used to get, your foremen used to be really, or are currently very insistent that they need production orders.
I still never idle it, but here we are. Shut down. There's a shutdown button here. This will shut down the starport, and then if you mouse over it, it'll say it's shut down, and it will not prompt you. But the problem is you can forget, and it will never bother you, which is what people want. What I actually prefer to do is to go to my spending and just put it all social, and then those things don't bother you. So
I have a question for you, because I recently played a game all the way to completion, which is very exciting that you can do. And I was kind of confused as to how projects work. So like planetary projects,
yes.
the sort of dump your production if you don't want to be building anything, you do cultural subsidies or whatever it is. Now, it seems like those are just are intended anyway to give a flat bonus that is not tied to how much production is going in.
No, it is tied.
It is.
It is. You get X% per X points of production.
Okay.
So if you only have 10 points, then it seems like it's a flat bonus. If you're only ever cranking,
I wonder if the tooltip isn't hooked up then, because it's always just saying like +1 production, +1 money.
Well, yeah, we should definitely look into that. Let's see. Because it says 25% growth. Yeah, I guess it doesn't explain, but yeah. So this would be 25% per 10 points or whatever it is.
Oh,
we need to make it clearer.
Yes,
this is 10%
that makes more sense.
per 10 points.
Okay.
Research. These are this is 1 research point per 10 points of production. Honestly, I'm not a fan of these. I will run them when I run out of things, but I prefer to go here and actually just change the spending. The only time it's worth it to do the other is if you have a planet that's just built out with factories and you don't want to waste all those manufacturing bonuses. But generally, it's almost always more efficient just to manually adjust.
Right. The biggest thing that I want, especially with the upgrade system that you put in, which I really, really like, how your improvements automatically upgrade as you research new tech, which is great. But I wish that I had a kind of a null project that would just dump all my production into military until there's something in the queue and then goes back to whatever the slider is at.
Isn't that just adjusting your spending to military?
But then I wouldn't have to go in and change my stupid production queue every time I get an upgrade, which would be nice.
That is true. I never would have thought of that. Okay, so let's see. Let's have a design meeting. So I go here. You want to essentially be able to go here and say
like military or whatever.
But now, what if I'm not doing any military production?
Well,
what if I'm not? What I have no starport or whatever?
Then you would be a fool to choose that option.
Well, would it
and
just
you would have
gray
to,
it out?
Yeah,
you would have to exit it, and then it would prompt you. I mean, it's not a bad idea. We could definitely play with that.
It
I would
might be
love to
sold-
somehow get this a little more obvious.
Yeah.
So that you don't feel, it doesn't feel quite so nichey.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, all you really need is this. You don't need these.
Right.
And I actually originally didn't even want to have these, but I like the idea. As a matter of fact, if you research up the ideology tree, there's some special ideological ones that will
they give you new
like,
projects?
that will that will essentially give you Summit, which essentially increases your influence and creates
Ideology points.
ideology points per
That's
turn.
kind of interesting.
And then there's a one here that but they all have a cost. So like the culling, which is my favorite, which essentially gives you merciless points, but it slows your growth like substantially. So, but there's kind of a neat little way, and there's other ones we could make. We could come up with lots of cool projects.
That's kind of interesting. I'm hesitant to get too far down that particular path in terms of whining to you about things I want in the UI, just because.
No,
how
I
many
like
of the, well,
the
how many of
idea.
those questions are going to be answered or at least mitigated once governors go in, though, too?
You know, that's
kind of
always
the biggest
my answer to everything is, well, you know, we have solutions to most of these requests. They're maybe not exactly what you're asking for. So let us do our thing and then let us know what you think, and we will adjust as we move forward.
Very cool. I haven't even looked at your guys' questions yet, so I apologize for that. I see the chat has been filling up, which is awesome. And we have some questions on the forum as well that I'm going to try to get to a little bit later on the stream. But before we get to that, I wanted to ask Paul if he had, and I don't prep him on any of these, which is great. So you always get like the straight dope from Paul, which is great. If he had anything he wanted to talk about as far as this patch goes, this beta 1 patch 1 or whatever the heck.
Well, the
beta
biggest,
1 opt-in patch 1 is Ray was
the
trying
biggest
to get me to call
the
it.
biggest patch, the biggest thing to me as the designer in the patch is the approval. There was a bunch of approval bugs that were just me literally. There's such a thing as a flat bonus and a multiplier bonus, and I had all of the approvals as multipliers because they were percentages.
Oh,
but because the way it works, because there's all these things, they actually needed to be flats. So once I changed that, all of a sudden the approval worked. So that made me feel much better. But it was mad. It made me mad because at low levels it appeared to work because it's, you know.
right.
But once you have all these and that's why people would be getting these crazy zero.
Sure, I noticed a lot of that. Like things would
planets.
tank really
I
quickly.
have entertainment capital on here with a plus 100, and I still get a approval of 0 or 10 or 24.
Sure.
Yeah, that should be impossible.
One of the things that I noticed, and I don't know if this is new to this patch because I think I was playing our internal build. One of the things I noticed that's different about the construction UI than it used to be in the alpha that I really like is that when you have, if you click factory or whatever and you double click to place it somewhere, you could just keep double clicking to place more factories.
You've always been able to.
I didn't think it used to deselect after placing one or two. Oh, nice.
Sarah might have changed it.
I don't know.
I will say that this interface needs some love. We want once the AI is smart enough to where we want it to essentially click. When you click, it will place it in the most optimum spot.
Yeah, that would be nice.
You should be able to just go bang, 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 and it'll put them in a logical spot. It might not be the spot you'd put it, but it'll put them in a logical spot.
That'll be nice just for when you're kind of shorthanding out planets later in the game where you're like, okay, factories.
That's what Alan is working on now, is getting the AI building smart, and a lot of that will flow over into the user interface, letting the player build smart easier.
Very cool. All right, we should actually get to some questions since that's what we advertise that we're going to do anyway. Will there be an animation or an icon or anything showing that a shipyard is shut down?
We'll probably have a HUD icon like we did in Galciv 2, or so something like this, except for it'll be like a little sleepy.
So similar to the little production
and also
or
like
shielded
in
or
the
whatever.
shipyard, it should say shut down. It'll say shut down. Actually, it's supposed to say shut down now, but it apparently doesn't.
Well, Sarah's hopefully watching. So.
Yeah, and I was actually thinking we could gray it out or something. Well, you know, sure. I asked to have a little guy with a lunchbox sitting in the middle of it, but they seemed to think that was too much.
Might be a little hard to read from the typical view distance, but it would be funny. Let's see. Will there be a way to create text that require multiple different texts from other trees So like cross tree dependencies, I think is the question. And then will there be an option to display every tech on one screen as opposed to the 4 discrete branches that we have?
We do not currently have a plan to have a single. A lot of that is because what we would like to do is have it so there's going to be techs that give bonuses to just a branch. I mean, just a tree.
Okay.
So like Drengen or somebody's super ability could be everything in the diplomacy branch costs less.
See, and you're doing it now. You keep going back over to select factory
that
again.
might just.
I'm telling you.
Well, let me.
I'm telling you, you can just keep on double clicking. It's so good.
Actually, I know that because I was doing it in the build. Okay. This is old habits.
See, and I'm telling you, I think that it's better behavior
if it was
now.
A research project, though?
It should. It should be. I think it's pretty much everything. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that nice? Good job, Sarah.
Feel silly.
It saves so much time.
Yeah. So this is a good planet.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be really good when you get soil enrichment. Oh no, that hex is actually filled in. Never mind.
Yeah. I don't have my solar
Where are the freaking power plants? I was trying to find those in the tech tree and failing to find them.
Really?
Well, I wasn't looking that
Kids
hard.
These days. They're right here. It's the very first. If you get to the next factory, it's the very.
Yeah, see, I was doing that.
I originally actually had them up here, but it was like way too long.
That takes a long time to get to.
So I moved it into here, and then there's no power plant here, but the manufacturing capital is here. And then if you go to Practical Fusion, you actually get the next one up.
The problem that I was having is that maintenance costs were kicking my butt.
Yes, that is a problem.
Which it was a little bit as designed because I had a very wide empire, and when you have a very wide empire and you're building a lot of improvements, you will notice if you've been playing much, you will start to get serious maintenance problems.
Yeah, I actually raised all the maintenance specifically so that would happen. We might.
Oh yeah.
We might because before they were just all too low, and there was no pressure on the player to be cost efficient.
Right.
However, that's all balancing. We may change all that.
Well, the real problem was that the AI kind of builds improvements willy-nilly right now. And so I conquered Iridia, and I was just like, I was losing
a bunch of wonders.
I was losing like 30 credits a turn.
There's
off
a bug
of
where like somehow he's building multiple manufacturing capitals.
I think it's because they're in the queue and they're not actually built yet.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out why that is happening. But like I said, those all have 10 per turn, so yeah, you pick up a couple of those on an empty planet and they can really hurt you.
Eddie UK brought up the idea or the thing that is happening right now that we were well aware of in the beta where starports, you build a starport, it gets blown up if there's an enemy fleet around, and you can get kind of stuck in that cycle. Which is we've talked about in the stream before about putting in some basic defenses maybe, or a tech that gives basic defenses, and frankly it's all just going to get much better when you're not permanently at war with everyone forever.
Plus first off, you should defend your star bases. Park a ship in there. I mean, that's the reason why we have that ability. Second off, the annoying thing is not so much that players is not so much that they can make them or that they get blown up. It's that you doing the whack-a-mole where it goes down, it comes up, goes down, comes up. We're coming up with a solution for that. Somebody suggested we just make it so that if there's a ship within 2 tiles of your planet, you can't build a starport. And other than kind of relaying that, I kind of like that solution. The other idea was to have you park a ship nearby and you say blockade, and then it just attacks anything. But since it's literally only starports, I think that the simplest solution of just you can't build there's an enemy ship within 2 tiles.
The only problem is that then you run into the problem of it would be pretty easy to knock out somebody's fleet and then just interdict them entirely and blockade all their colonies, and they can just never build anything again and they lose.
Yeah, that's why they have to be smart enough to guard their starport. I mean, like I said, we have to balance these things, but the problem is that there's always going to be cheese tactics.
Right.
The trick is they're only cheese tactics if the AI can't counter them.
Sure.
So we need to make sure the AI can counter these things. But we'll be playing with that. I can't promise the exact solution. I'm rushing up here so I can show you where to get solar power.
Let's see. Will there be a way to actually build the advanced version of an improvement instead of always starting at the basic and working its way up?
We purposely did not do that because it's really, there's no difference. Actually, it's better the way it is because you put a basic one down. The minute that basic one is done, it starts giving you points.
Right.
And it's contributing to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. So it's just simpler just to only have one thing. I want a factory. And then if you've unlocked, and that way, because the problem with in Galactic Civ 2, you'd come to a planet, and we had to have, and even in the alpha, we had to have this option to build old improvements because you would have no people there.
Right.
You'd throw a mega factory down there, and it'd be like
60 turns.
Yeah, in 60 turns, this will be done.
Right.
Now, if you had a lot of money, you could rush it or whatever. But it just was really impractical. Whereas doing it the way we do it now takes all of that out of it. And I really don't feel like, as a matter of fact, if you look at the numbers, it is actually much better for the player to do it.
Sure. Let's see. Will there be a way to close some windows on the main screen to see the entire screen? Modular UI. That's an interesting question.
Yeah, maybe. We're playing
right.
with I always wanted to have this be dockable. We'll probably make another UI pass once the game is done.
Sure.
Some of those things, like that's the type of thing we like to, we make sure the UI is good in the base game, and then in an expansion we might go, oh, and now the UI is but honestly, UI, especially for us because we do our own UI engine and everything, it is a lot of work. It's not a trivial thing. It's not like using Flash or something like that. So we have to kind of watch that type of feature creep, but it is definitely something that we will play with throughout the development of the game.
Sure. Cloud saves / Steam or Steam Cloud, whatever.
I'm pretty sure we're planning on doing that.
I mean, I would be shocked if we aren't doing that, and I will.
We're definitely doing that. I don't know. That's kind of like outside of my. That's more of a Brian and a Nathan question. But yes,
I mean, it seems like we had that in FE. Like, we're not going to not have it in Galciv.
There's no reason not to have it.
Somebody's asking, I would love a cloud feature that linked into Dropbox or OneDrive. You can actually do that with symbolic links yourself. As a little tip, go Google Symlinks, SYM links, symbolic links in Windows. You can basically tell it, instead of this directory, like fake your Dropbox as your save directory.
Honestly, what I do is I just have my docs is in my Dropbox. So everything I make, every ship I make, everything I do is saved up into there. That's not, I mean, if you have a ton of stuff and a small Dropbox, then maybe that wouldn't be so ideal for you. But yeah, there are other ways around. You can even selectively say just this folder, just Galciv 3 saves goes into Dropbox.
So there are ways to do it. Now that said, we'll almost certainly be incorporating the normal like Steam cloud save.
Oh yeah,
thing.
No, that is for sure.
But for the moment, you could do that to sync it between your desktop and your laptop.
I don't know when. I can't promise when that is coming, but that is definitely something we have planned.
Sure. Let's see. It would be nice if we could download other people's ships into your game. You will certainly be able to do that. We have all kinds of cool stuff planned for sharing ship designs and custom races and all that kind of stuff. It'll all tie into the metaverse. It's going to be super cool. We have speaking of just kind of all that cloud and sharing stuff. I don't know if people saw, but Stardock, we hired Adrian Luff, who was one of the sort of main guys behind BattleNet and behind the infrastructure for World of Warcraft. We hired him. He is now heading up what we're calling internally Project Tachyon, which is a slightly tacky code name. But that's
not very funny. It's not a funny joke.
It was so funny. Anyway.
Star Trek reference.
So Project Tachyon is going to be this whole thing that Stardock is doing. It's not like Uplay or something. It's not something that you're going to have to log into every time, and it's going to be a whole other wrapper around your games or anything like that. But it's going to be a very cool way to do sharing and all that kind of stuff, and multiplayer and stat tracking. That is hot. That is totally hot. So to answer some of your cloud questions, there you go. We have another one. A question about the ship designer. At least to me, the ships have too many connection points. Will that be cleaned up? Now, I don't know that too many hard points is necessarily a problem, but it might be worth kind of a dummy mode. I would appreciate that as somebody who's not as into the ship designer. Just like fewer hard points.
There's already fewer than there was.
Well,
I
that's
think
true.
the problem is that we have to put enough on per the size of the part, and then sometimes people scale things down, so it seems like there's way too many. I don't know of a practical way to reduce them. We could play with it. Originally, we actually had like a zillions, and we had like an auto-generated thing where you could reduce down, and people didn't really like that either. Even though it was like way, you could actually have less. But I don't know. And like always, also we have to be careful with the ship designer not to break people's ships.
Right.
Because that
I
is
think
very frustrating.
From my perspective, I would be interested in it's simply a UI thing where it only you could like click a box to go into dummy mode, and it would show it would just only activate or show fewer of the hard points while you're in the ship designer.
But how would it know which ones to show?
Well, that would be a problem.
Yeah,
maybe
that's the problem.
because you would have to go mark up.
It's not that we couldn't do it.
You'd have to go mark up every part.
It's going to pick
different modes.
It's going to pick abstractly or by its placement order, or something like that, and then, it is. There is only one, but it's on the corner, and so we can definitely play with that. I've always wanted a mode that just didn't have them and just things stuck to the verts, but honestly, it turned out that when we were trying to do stuff like that, people didn't like it as much, because when you go into the ship designer, you want really to be able to just go, grab a part and stick it, bang. You don't want to go, and also like with the verts are here, like it would actually land on a weird angle facing the wrong direction.
Right.
We actually did a lot of black magic to make it so, I don't know, we've talked about this before, but if I hold shift, see, that's the real orientation of that hard point. So it is actually going that way. But what we do, because we don't want you to rotate this, have to rotate this, and then all of a sudden you place it on, and where's that part I was just using? you place this on, and all of a sudden it's facing a weird direction. So what we actually do is we angle it straight forward, and oriented to the vertical. I don't know what the X-plane, whatever.
I have no idea.
So you essentially get it makes it a lot easier to kind of get expected results. But then we let players use shift to be a little more accurate, and then unlike in Galciv 2, we also let people offset things. So you can get things,
I use the offset to cheat it where I want all the time.
Yeah. And then there's of course the gizmos too, if you want to get a little more organic, although they are still buggy.
They're weird. I love the idea, but I've not been able to get terribly consistent results with them.
Yeah, the problem is that mouse space and 3D space are
always
fighting with each other. Yeah, so those are definitely not done. But yeah, so we have lots of plans for that. We could have a mode where you just don't see the hard points, and you just kind of stick your pieces down until they stick or something like that. One of the things we had in the beta was you would grab a piece, and it would only show the hard points around your mouse.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
Really?
That drove me nuts when I was,
Yeah, so was it just because it was implemented bad? But I mean, that might give players a better feeling, because then they wouldn't be so overwhelmed.
Maybe. I don't know. I always felt like I was like shining a flashlight trying to find where the heck I wanted to put
I would
stuff.
also like them the hard points just to be smaller. I was thinking we should convert them to little spheres or something. But
sure.
Because I don't know if you really need this directional arrow anymore.
Another question about the ship designer. When the battle viewer comes along, will the weapons fire from there? Like they'll fire from the actual weapons on the ships, right?
They will fire from the weapons.
Now the weapons don't rotate.
The weapons will not be auto turrets or anything crazy like that.
And that's just a technical. It's really
more
hard
of
to do.
It's a can of worms. Someday Galciv 5.
There you go.
But
give you a heart attack talking about new Galciv games to design right now.
Well, I'm on the long haul. I need to retire someday. So. No, and plus there's always so much you can do. Galciv Infinite.
Oh God.
That's
going to be the new free-to-play microtransaction fueled one, right?
No, Bite your tongue. Bite your tongue. I I know some people keep requesting, it'd be really awesome if the maps just didn't end.
Oh man,
code-wise, that is actually a nightmare.
Right.
I love it. I want to do that. It would be
super cool.
So that's my Galciv Infinite. That's the 2013 or 2023 version.
If you're doing it on a server, it would be easier to do.
Yeah, but it would be awesome. I mean, you'd have to spawn. Awesome. You'd have to generate map dynamic. Oh my god! When do you know when you won? But anyway, so that would be awesome. But we're I've got plans out for Galciv till 2021. Yeah. And they're all this game, and especially for founders who will get all of it for free.
Yep.
So but we're not going to chintz on any one version. We just have a lot of things we have planned, and you just can't do it all at once. And honestly, it wouldn't be as good a game if you did it all at once. It's too overwhelming. Yeah. Also, a lot of people will then, get the next they'll get Crusade or whatever the first expansion is and go, well, I still like the old version. We want you to be able to play the old version. We want to be able to, to just kind of stack.
Yeah, and I always like that, like in other 4X games, if there's some big, like if they add espionage or something, a lot of times they'll just give you a little checkbox in game to turn it on or off at game creation. I always like that because even if it's a system that I like, sometimes I just want to play a game without it because I just want to blast through a warfare game or something like that. So we had another great question in the chat here. What are your thoughts on the synergy between planet improvements and the balance of planet layouts in allowing or disallowing that synergy, especially when it comes to multiplayer? Because like where those hexes generate can have a big influence on the output
this
of a
is
planet.
one of those things where we say, we can't promise balance in multiplayer because you literally have randomly generated planets.
But can we
randomly generated maps?
Can we handcraft a map?
No, we could definitely, and we will. We'll have like arenas that are handcrafted maps where everything is balanced. But that's honestly not our strength. We will do that. There's no reason not to do that. We want people to be able to play these competitive games, but we're really more focusing on making sure that like if you and I want to play against the AI for a zillion turns, we can.
Right.
And it should be more fun that way. Whereas, it's going to be really hard to make sure we're balanced. But I can Iridia here is always the same. The tiles are not always the same, but we could probably make them always the same by the way they generate. So we could very much do that, and we will do that for tournaments and for a low-level multiplayer map.
I used to play on those really symmetrical balanced maps in Sins of a Solar Empire a lot. Actually, I liked those in Sins quite a bit.
I made a ton of balanced, like literally symmetrical maps. I made a big yin yang, a big Stardock logo, one for FE. That were literally perfectly balanced. I don't think anybody ever noticed, but I was really proud of those.
Very nice. Let's see. Questions. Sorry. Visual or rather auditory noise. This is my problem with I get too caught up in the conversation and then I don't do my producer duties and pay attention to the stupid questions. Let's see. We're going to add a way to delete ships or stations, as right now I can't remove a shipyard if I built it and don't want it.
You cannot remove a shipyard right now, and yes, we will make sure that is gone. You can remove a ship, though I don't wish to do so. Here, I can just go down here and say decommission. Right now, you get screwed. You get nothing. We're going to make it so that you get an X percentage of the price you paid back when you scrap a ship. But we will make a way to get rid of shipyards.
There was
the easiest way to get rid of shipyard is just let somebody blow it up.
It's true.
Just kidding. No, we will make sure that is doable.
There was a huge question, which I skipped in the chat because I wanted to fire through a bunch of little ones, but it also showed up on the forums from Peregrine 23, excuse me. Can you discuss anything about what the cultural victory will look like? How do we achieve it?
The pure cultural victory is essentially what was in Galciv 2. We haven't balanced it, but essentially yet decide what percentage, but essentially if you literally say you're Terran, you turn 90% of the map blue, you win, or 80%.
Oh, so is it literally that many hexes?
It's based on size.
Sure.
Because the problem is we have to differentiate it from diplomacy. I don't want to bring in like, well, you have to do that, and you have to have a star base in every sector, or no. It's a big enough challenge to turn the whole map blue. Now, the biggest problem we have with that is that, I think you have to do it and not be at war with anybody. That's the other thing.
Oh,
right. So if you're at war with somebody, then it's not a cultural victory. So it's a bit of a challenge. It's a conquest victory. If I literally flip the whole galaxy, that is not a cultural victory. That's a conquest victory.
Right.
So it's just done through cultural means. We like to have lots of versions of victory. I mean, if we have a UP victory, alliance victory, ascension victory, a tech victory, and a cultural victory, and a conquest victory, I think that's like 3 more or 2 more than we had in concept.
So let's see. Blaze of Glory on the forums is asking, is begging you to do something about the conflict dialogue.
Oh,
that
yes,
placeholder is rough, and I mean, his issue, and this is something I totally share, is it really sucks when somebody comes in and blows up one of your fleets, and you just get like, where did that happen?
Yeah,
like,
no.
Trying to scroll out.
That
so
this is a bad thing. But what is essentially happening is we have a whole battle system coming,
right?
So we don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but we will definitely fix that. It needs to take you to the battle. It needs to not prompt you if somebody's attacking you. Although the problem is it needs to take you to the battle. I in that demo game that we're posting, I actually lost an entire planet and didn't even notice. It was very embarrassing. I'm like, what the hell? Or it was Earth. Freaking Earth got taken from me. And the only reason I noticed is because I sent a transport there to load back up. I'm like, why is the population so low on Earth? And then when the transport hit it, it turned blue. And I'm like, oh, my God, it had been taken over. Luckily, the AI wasn't guarding the planet or anything. It was terribly embarrassing. And you can see it on tape whenever.
Which is, I was going to tease that on the stream at some point. Yes, Paul recorded a whole playthrough of a game. It's about 3 hours long.
2 hours and 50 minutes, thank you.
Okay, it's 2 hours and 50 minutes
turns, it would have been 3 hours.
And we're gonna post a whole stinking thing on YouTube, and he narrates the whole thing too, and he does a pretty good job of keeping the pitter patter going without me here.
There's a couple times late game where I'm like, oh my God. It's mostly I'm just trying to turn really quick. It was a fun game. It was not perfect. It shows some of our weaknesses, but it shows a lot of our strengths. It also will hopefully answer a buttload of questions because I'm essentially rambling about every single thing. I got yelled at by Alan for not stopping and explaining things thoroughly because I essentially am trying to keep the game going. So I'll start to explain. I'll put down planets, and he's like, well, you didn't explain why you put those there. But then later in the game, I'll be like, oh, this is why I like to put these there. So it's very free form, but hopefully it's entertaining and educational.
I love that the team is train spotting you on like, you know what the answer to Alan is narrate your own damn game.
Oh no!
And if Alan wants to narrate a game, I will post it. I will promote it.
I never claimed, like I said, if we wanted to do a produced thing where I essentially do the highlights of Galciv 2.
Right.
Welcome to Galciv 3. Highlights. That would have been, we could have done that. And we actually originally I saw your little subtitle, by the way. I originally was going to cut it down to 30 minutes and make it a highlights thing, but really it's just not as interesting. There's a reason why people watch Let's Plays is because you get to see every little nuance.
Yep.
And it's kind of fun with me because I can literally sit there and bitch about things.
And it's all your fault anyway.
Yeah,
so.
and I go, oh, hey, I'm going to change that because I don't like it. So
that's going up next week. You can see it on our YouTube channel, which is www.youtube.com/stardockgames. And that'll be going up. I think we're putting that up on Tuesday, so you can look forward to that. I put a nice, pretty title card on it and an exit card and everything. It's very, very pro. Let me tell you. Let's see. We got some more questions in the chat, which is awesome. Let's see. Eddie wants to know, can you import your own ping or whatever, your own image for a custom race banner or like the little shield?
Oh, yeah. Not right now.
Right.
Custom races probably won't be in for like 2 more betas. But yes, we're going to have all of that. Matter of fact, if you have the wherewithal and the ability, you can put a bink in. So
there you go.
You want to record yourself drinking a beer, doing this in an idle pose. You can put yourself in there. So yeah.
Excellent. Let's see. Here's one actually that I'm going to bug you about live on the stream because it bothers me. Approval. How do you feel about making approval a more smoothly scaling bonus rather than the step function that it is right now? Because like right now, it's such a huge bonus to you get such a huge bonus for being at 100% as opposed to being at 99. It's like 50% instead of 25 or something. It's nuts. So no,
it's just that the bonuses don't even start until you're at a certain level. So
well, they started like 80 or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a big step between
it does
99 and 100, and I think 89 and 90
well,
it's
a curve. It's not necessarily a step. It's a curve.
It was a step. The tooltip was certainly implying that it was a step.
Well, let's see here. See, I've got well, apparently
you can just go screw with the.
Yeah, you're right. That is not supposed to be a step. Those are supposed to be a curve. It looks like the penalties are a curve.
Oh,
well, there you go. Troubleshooting. We can do that. Though, honestly, I don't really mind so much it being a big... I want you to... The whole reason we do that is so that you go, ooh, I have to keep making people happy.
Right.
Because it is a big deal.
It's a totally big deal, especially early
but
because
the problem
of the
is
growth.
early in the other builds, it was broken, so it was very annoying. If anything, right now, it's too easy to keep your populations happy again.
My biggest problem with
especially if you build a couple star bases nearby with recreation centers.
Yeah. My biggest problem with it is that it encourages me to go in and micromanage my wealth slider every freaking turn to keep it right at 100. Oh, and, to keep my approval there. That's super annoying.
That's too bad. I mean, at some point, the player has to. I understand where you're coming from. As long as you don't have to do that to win.
To me, if it was like if the step
fine.
was
I'll
from
just take away all the bonuses. And then you won't care.
I'll
just have penalties. Oh wait, that's exactly the same.
No, it's not that there's a bonus for being at 100%. It's that like the change from 25 to 50%.
No,
is so
that's
huge.
True. I can like I said, that was I thought that was a curve.
All right.
So then. we will look into that.
Well, if I nag Paul into blowing up the approval bonuses, whose fault it is.
Well, like I said, right now, if you play the patch build, it's pretty damn easy to keep everybody happy.
Well, that's good because I kind of like playing the Altarians who get a big approval bonus naturally.
And also, I went in and made a couple planets and stuff that have approval bonuses. And when we bring trade resources in, there's several of those that give approval bonuses. A bunch of the anomaly, the colonized events give approval bonuses. You get a good planet with like a 20% approval bonus and growth bonus. You can just essentially crank people out,
which is awesome because you got to load up those transports, son.
Yeah,
that is important. A mysterious man named Paul Tazur wants to know if there will be a button to stream to twitch.tv or Ustream or any of those other things.
That's outside of my
I was going to say, that sounds like a Nathan question.
Yeah, that's more of a Brian probably question.
These are some of our other devs. I mean, I know that those services have APIs that we can hook into.
Ultimately, I'm a little. If people watch the video I made, I'll be a little surprised. But I will say, I spent time. It's a turn-based game, so I feel like what's interesting about it. But I sat there and watched it for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Going, hey, actually,
I don't know. People. Nobody's complaining that we're doing the stream. So, that's not true. There have been people complaining that we're doing the stream because they think that I'm keeping you from building the game, which is not really true.
That's what I do with the other 24 hours. 23 hours of it.
Yep. Let's see.
Hey, oh crap! This is what happens when you're not paying attention. I always be careful not to let my scouts go into any controlled zone because.
Oh, what? Because you're going to lose a scout? Boo.
Yeah, I'm going to lose a scout.
Oh, how horrible would that be?
If worse comes to worse, you put your scout like on your border and use him as a watchdog to see when somebody's coming. Didn't you watch my video?
Well, I do that with star bases.
You can do that with star bases too, but you should be using your star bases to get economic bonuses.
Well, I build a lot of star bases. Oh, there's Altarians.
Apparently,
there.
I have not been paying attention.
You haven't
at
been paying
all.
much.
I'm about to die.
Well, this will be
crap.
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're going to take out. I got nothing. I literally have nothing.
You have like no
you
ships
get to
here?
see my defeat.
Oh my God, you have like negative money too.
Yeah, because
are
I've been
screwed.
talking and hitting the turn button. Oh, there goes my. There goes my. There's
Oh
that.
no! Oh
bam.
jeez.
Oh look.
Hey, your starbase
My
at least blew up
starbase
one of their
took
ships.
two of them out. Yay for my starbase. All right,
Oh,
so that's
excellent.
the end of this game. Oh my goodness.
That is
Wow.
fantastic.
If you watch the video I made, I soundly trounced the AI, so I know what I'm doing. This is a bad example of my gameplay technique.
Oh man, I'm really amused. All right, this is an interesting question. Can we have an option to increase solar system size, like in map generation, so that more stuff spawns per star? Maybe you have fewer stars with more stuff. I don't know. That's an interesting thing that might be cool. I don't know.
It's an interesting idea. We actually have system defs that are like how a star system spawns, and that information is all in there. Right now, we have like generated systems and fixed systems. We could literally have bigger systems and do stuff like that. It's not currently planned for, but it's an interesting idea. Modders.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it's in the XML, you
modders certainly could, and we could play with the idea. I mean, we have sliders or spinners for so many things. It seems like it would be silly just to draw the line there. Well, no, not solar systems.
Right.
That's just crazy.
Peregrine 23 had another great question about, are there any plans to do anything about production overflow by allowing excess production to go to the next improvement or ship or tech? Right, so like all your leftover
I think it already does.
Does it already? I don't actually know. I haven't paid that much
I'd have to
attention
go
it.
confirm this, but originally we had this whole discussion, and I said, yes, it can go to the next tech, but it should never finish the same turn.
Oh,
you never
sure.
finish two things at once, but it should go boop up into the next one. So yes.
So there you go. So if
it
that is not the case,
already
we'll
do
fix
that.
it.
It should already do that. And there goes my scout. And now I have 2 planets, and luckily it's still Age of Expansion, so nobody has invasion.
Oh man.
So and the AI is stupid enough to leave me, so I think I'll just turtle for the rest of this episode. And pretend that afterward I would break out with a fleet of large ships and conquer the galaxy. It's kind of embarrassing.
I'm really amused. I like it when we.
This
that
would
we
be the
actually
very
had...
first game I have ever lost if I actually. But like I said, I know enough to where I could still probably sneak back in.
I'm just glad that we have some drama on the stream. I'm all for.
Embarrassing.
I'm all for.
There's a little glitch
things.
every time an improvement builds. The planet graphics reset. I would like to get that.
Oh, that is annoying. I wanted to point out, I don't know how many of our alpha players we have. I know from looking at the names in the chat that we have a bunch of alpha players watching and playing, but how much better the in-progress improvements look with the new like wireframe graphic
that's
versus
all crap. I did those last weekend at home. Essentially, I went through and made a bunch of standards. That was essentially like a mock-up system for the beta. We have entirely brand new improvements being made, and they will look a lot better. And they will have a wireframe version. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
And then ideally, what's going to happen is this will fill up as it builds, so you'll be able to see how complete each one is.
Oh,
so each one will become a little progress bar unto itself, and they'll look a little like they're being Tron reverse digitized. That's the overall plan. But yeah, we have Fred and Brandon. Brandon are hard at work on new improvements, and I kind of had to be the bad guy for a while until I got them to where I like them. But now they have to look down, and they are cranking them out.
Very cool.
I'm not sure if they'll be all done by beta 2. We might just leave the default ones in until beta 3, but somewhere along the line, they will all just magically change. Plus, there's going to be new improvements. A lot of the new races will have their own improvements. There's just going to be new improvements where I'm like, oh, we don't have anything that does this, or I might take some away. So
sure,
improvements will be changing forever.
Another good question from the forum, actually from Blaze of Glory, who had one earlier, but that's okay. I don't feel like I need to make sure that everybody only gets one question. That just seems rude. Wants to know more about the combat formulas, and this is kind of an interesting philosophical question of how much of that math do we want to really expose to the player, because to some extent you don't want the player to be doing a math problem when they're building their fleets.
We kind of do in a weird way. We're going to because that's the whole point, is essentially you build and this is not really obvious in beta 1 and probably won't be truly obvious till beta 3. But yeah, everything is actually, what is the right word?
I don't know.
Rule driven. All of the battle.
Oh, okay.
All the battle system is rule driven. So we want to expose as much of that. We want you to go, this guy has a 42 perceived threat. If I put him in a fleet, he's going to get attacked first.
Okay.
Right? And then you say, this guy has, this speed. He's going to be able to rush into the battle first. Everybody will be trying to attack that guy, and I can take him out. We want you to be able to have that. We want you to build it like a deck of cards, And it's like, oh, and this guy has this thing that will explode if he blows up. And I put him on a weak ship, or, oh, it's too expensive to put on a weak ship. So we really want this whole, and somebody on the forums had said, what's the point of the shipbuilding if there's no tactical battle? Well, aside from it's awesome, the shipbuilding really is all about building this kind of, first you build your perfect ship, then you build your perfect fleet, and then you fine-tune that fleet, and you go, oh, if I had this one ship, and then it's like, oh, now I'm fighting the Drengen. This is no longer the best fleet. I need this ship. We want you to really be always constantly building that. Now, once a player is advanced, played a zillion games, they might have all of these ships already in their library, or players might have uploaded them to Steam. This is the ultimate anti-Drengen death machine. Although, if the AI is doing its job right, the Drengen will play differently almost every time. So it'll be hard to counter those things. But it's gonna be really interesting. I'm really excited. Jesse is working on the Battle Viewer now, which is where we're gonna finally be able to really iron out the systems. Like I said, right now it's all working in math.
Right.
And I have like a really crappy debug screen where I literally have sliders going towards each other, and I can look at it and go, okay, these 4 sliders, this guy got halfway through the slider before he died. So I can literally tell what's happening, but it's just total nerd UI. Once the interface comes in, then we're going to really, and we'll probably be polishing the battle interface forever, because we really we want players to literally be able to look at a fleet and go, this is going to be awesome against this fleet. Now, there'll of course be some random, there's accuracy, there's things like that. So you may think you have the perfect fleet, and if it's too close, you might lose. Or, or somebody might have the perfect combination that can counter you. That is what's going to be, that's what's going to be fun about the new battle system.
All right. Ronan wants to know,
most boring gameplay ever.
He wants to know if the Zendar, who were teased in the Founders Vault as through some concept art, if they're going to be making their way into the game at all at some point, which I assume that they probably are if they were put into the Founders Vault. You look really confused.
No comment.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that maybe their name has changed.
There we go. Should name them Kender and give them dumb little sticks. And
are you referring to Dragonlance?
I am bringing a Dragonlance joke because apparently it's 1992. Wow. And we need to talk about
Kender.
We need to talk about
them. I forgot the
oh God, hobbits. What are they? Ugh, so dumb. Let's see. More people wanting to know about combat stuff, which again we'll kind of answered already. And again, we're going to get more and more into that as we get closer to the combat actually coming out, which is currently scheduled for beta 3, which is in December. According to the current schedule, please forgive us if we don't.
Some of the support stuff will be in beta 2.
Oh, cool.
So you'll get to kind of wet your teeth in, as far as the math, but you won't really be able to appreciate it for a while.
Sure. Let's see.
Let's see if this guy comes over and blows up my thing before I have time to crank out a ship. Ah!
Did you get something out?
No, he blew me up.
No.
You bastards. You
That
killed
is a
Kitty.
shame. Somebody wanted to know if
kind of a
shipyards
cool-looking
will
ship.
be. That is a good looking ship. If
I love
shipyards
that
will
gloss
be.
on the Altarians.
If shipyards
Will
be upgradable in the same way as starbases.
You know, we're trying to avoid that. It was I don't want them to essentially just become another version of a starbase. But I am thinking of making it so the defenses on them and maybe some features on them are upgradable by techs. So there'll be like a line of starbase defense techs that will just automatically give all your starbases. Whereas if you literally had to build a starbase, then send a constructor to starbase, you're literally building the thing that's going to upgrade it there. It would feel really kludgy.
That
And
would
then in
be
which case,
weird.
well, why do we just make it so that they have a queue on the planet? And it just becomes a big can of worms. So I would like to keep them separate. Plus, we want you to have to defend them. We don't want the cheese that we're getting now. That's
Right.
my job to fix that, but we can fix that in gameplay. That's
Sure.
not freaking bastard.
That's
Where
a pretty
is
decent
he
little defender.
hiding? He must just be
They-
stationed over
yeah.
here. I wonder if I build a shipyard over here, if I'd be out of his range.
Oh, let's see. Bunch of great questions in the forums. I did not prune these beforehand, which is my fault. I apologize for that. Upgrade all ships? Question mark.
Yes.
All ships
That
of
will
a
be in the
type,
governors.
like- Very
That'll be in
cool.
the governors. The problem with that is without leasing, it's almost impossible
Oh,
unless you have a buttload of money.
yeah.
It's planned. Whether it will actually be of any use to anybody is the question. So then once leasing is in, we might well say, sure, you can upgrade all these. It's going to cost you 10 credits a turn for the next 20 turns.
Sure.
Is it important enough for you to do that? Sure. But yes, it is one of the governors. So they literally say all ships of this class should upgrade to this. And you, boom, blanket
Sure.
upgrade them all.
Extreme Worlds.
Extreme Worlds, I'm trying to get them in for beta 2. I can't promise anything because we have a lot of AI work to do and a lot of diplomacy work, and the coders are like, "Oh, let me actually do my job." So,
They're always like that.
but
man.
I came in the other day. Extreme Worlds, can I get Extreme Worlds? Yeah, you can, but you know, it would be really great to get in the stuff that we already promised. So I'm working on that. But yes, they're coming. They will either be in beta 2 or beta 3.
All right.
And we have all the traditional ones. Here, let's see, from Galciv 2. Though, and I'm going to probably tweak them a little. But right now, where are they?
There you
Atmospherics
go.
Cleansing. Yeah. So these essentially, right now, what I was going to do, and I might have to break this up further because it might be too easy, is this tech gives you the first like 2 types of like the lowest level ones. And then this lets you specialize. And then once you specialize these, it essentially lets you, the ones that are here, move up to full level. And then this gives you the really crazy ones. What does this give you? I guess I don't actually have it written here. But this gives you, radioactive and toxic.
Oh, okay, sure.
And then this lets you get radioactive ones up to 100%. And what
Gotcha.
I wanted to do in my original sign doc is have a 3rd level that lets them get a bonus.
So you actually like Toxic Worlds or whatever.
Where it's like, well, because of all the work you did here to get this good, it's now great at this thing.
Oh, okay.
So that is one of the things I'm probably going to roll back in because I can and nobody's telling me
That
not
sounds
to.
cool.
Yeah. And the problem is that it's like, well, I have to come up with good justifications for it. It's like, well, why would Toxic Worlds suddenly be good at growing plants? I have to come up with it. But we'll be playing with that.
Very cool. I'm sure Chris can come up with some ridiculous justifications.
So yeah, that is it. So this will probably blow up a little once it's in, but the good news is it'll be almost entirely data, so I'll be able to play with it, and we might end up with a bunch of new types of worlds. We don't want to go crazy,
right?
And I would also I'd like them to step. The reason I like this is unlike in Galciv 2 where they were kind of all in a line, you could just go boom, 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 boom. I would like to do this because then it pushes them back and it pushes the colony rush
yeah.
back in steps. So you can like rush, and then there's like a second wave, and then there's a third wave, and then there's optimizing what you have, and then there's a fourth wave. So that'll be fun to play with.
For sure. We have gone for just about an hour, which is longer than I like to keep, Paul, but it's fun to take questions, so it works out. And we didn't even come close to getting to all the questions that we had. Again, thank you all so much for giving such great questions, and both on the forum and in the chat, and having a good time laughing at Paul for his his failures of governance here. Looks like you're at war with everybody there, Paul.
Apparently I am. Oh, that's because this is the beta.
Yes, this is not the internal that has that turned on. I thought I saw you going for that. I was like, you're gonna tease it.
Do a test.
No, it's still disabled. Well, because this is the opt-in, so this is actually live. So yeah, we didn't have.
Yeah, I forgot. We had originally started with an internal.
We were gonna do the internal, and then the internal. We hadn't actually uploaded the right one to Steam because whatever. So maybe you'll get one next week. Speaking of next week, I actually won't be here. I will be on vacation, so you will get Rain Man, aka Ray, who's our producer on Galciv. He is going to be running the stream next week, and hopefully he will fill my luxurious, glorious shoes, although we all know that's impossible. And he'll, successfully, hopefully, hit the 3 buttons that it takes to get this thing up and running. So that'll be cool for next week. I do want to start getting in more of your team onto the stream, not just Paul all the time. We have this whole team.
I am so terribly entertaining.
But I would love to get some of those other guys on the stream if they're interested. So hopefully you guys will get to meet some of the rest of the team here in the next coming weeks. Now that there's more stuff in the game, the nice thing about having Paul on has always been that he can talk about everything because he has the entire freaking design in his head. Island Dog wants me to use sticky notes on the buttons to tell Ray what to do. Well, if it comes to that, I suppose he could send me a text message. So anyway,
Didn't he run it last week though?
No. Oh, yes, he did, or 2 weeks ago.
So he's done it before.
Yes, he has hit the 3 buttons. Yes. I really think he's going to be okay. Ray actually streams in his free time. You can find him on Twitch if you are of a mind to. So that's it for this week, I think, fellas. Thank you so much for watching. We have the patch opt-in right now. Should be released next week, theoretically. I actually have some Labor Day as celebrated by various civilizations within the Galactic Civilizations universe.
I don't think there is any reason. Well, I shouldn't say this. I don't know of any reason not to take the patch. I think the reason why it's opt-in is because some of the changes for the video card stuff were put in really late,
and we don't want to blow up everybody's
time to test them as thoroughly as we'd like. So, but if it's already working for you, you should be fine. If it wasn't working because of this crazy video card issue, hopefully it'll fix it. And worst case, I think, is it still won't work.
Okay.
So,
well, hopefully.
So that said, I say go for it, but don't sue me if it does anything wrong.
So keep an eye actually on the Facebook page next week. We're going to be posting some amusing things that Chris wrote about how Labor Day is celebrated on Drengi, on Altaria, and on Iridia. Paul has not even seen them yet, so it'll be a surprise for him as well.
I'm going to be offended.
Stardock does not endorse slavery.
I don't know if on Iridia they appreciate labor.
Oh
day.
No, Chris is on it. They're pretty funny. They're pretty funny.
They'd be like, "Why aren't you working day?"
It's I don't want to spoil it. So anyway, so keep your eye on that, and then we have also the big Let's Play from Paul posting next week as well. This should be up on Tuesday on our YouTube channel. This will be up on our YouTube channel, although if you're watching it now, I don't know why you need to see that. But anyway, that's it. Thank you all for the questions. We'll try to get to more of them next week. We'll see you later on.